right, it's time to talk weather again. We appreciate you being with us here. We're still talking about what's happening all across the country and off into the Atlantic seaboard as well. We're going to be talking about all kinds of stuff. We've got stuff going on the radar right now into northern Mississippi. We've got a severe thunderstorm watch that's in effect that goes all the way down to the south, across the southern portions of Mississippi, down to Jackson, actually, on I-20. I'm David Neal, along with Drew Richards, who's down here. We're doing a little Brady Bunch kind of thing tonight, and Drew is running the show tonight. I'm doing nothing but just talking. Drew's doing all the important stuff, all the heavy lifting tonight. Drew, how are you?
Doing good. David, hope you're good. You guys, I'm not as good as Jarvis, so hopefully production goes off without a hitch tonight. But if you see some bumpy things, I apologize in advance.
If you got questions, if you got questions, please ask them. I'm going to be monitoring. In fact, let me go over here so I can see it. I'm going to be monitoring the chat over here, and we'll be talking. Let's see. I'll be glad to answer your questions here. You might have to help me with that. I don't see any chat at the moment.
Sure thing.
Anyway, we're going to be talking about all kinds of weather here. And right now we want to go to what's current. We still have a huge situation going on out into the Atlantic with a hurricane that was named a little while ago. It's Lee, Hurricane Lee. And, so here's the deal. Here's the deal with this. About a week ago, it started showing up. So everybody, and it showed up from NHC. It showed up as a red mark, an X. It had an X on it and a red mark that said 90%. So it was a red. The whole thing was red. And red, you know what red does. And everybody got excited about it. And I saw a lot of people in Twitter going, watch this carefully. Watch this. And I was trying, I worry about people and I worry about the masses getting false information, especially 14 days in advance it almost was. I mean, it was coming out so early that everybody was getting the information from it. So it kind of bothered me. So I went and I said, look, this is 12 days out. This is 12 days in advance. Don't everybody get too excited about this just yet. Sure, it's hurricane season. So we're going to have hurricanes. We're going to have tropical situations. And this was a case, though, that we also knew there was high pressure out into the open Atlantic, and there was a very good chance that another trough coming through the United States is going to pick that up. We have southwesterlies in front of a trough, in front of a cold front. Wind comes out of the southwest at about 3/4 of the way up into the atmosphere, and so those are the steering currents that we look at, and they were coming in out of the southwest. So it looked like all along this was going to take a turn to the right, to the north, and it still is. So you're going to see a lot of crap on the internet about, oh my God, watch out for this. It's going to be a major hurricane. I mean, all indications are winds are going to get up to 150, 160, but the hype is just a bunch of crap. So let me bring everybody back down to earth here a little bit. It's not that it's going to affect nobody, and it's the weather. So I would never say never. I never say I know 100% about what's going on. Let's say I have a 90% feeling here about this not hitting the continental United States. Bermuda's out there, and so it's pretty close to being in between the two. And we'll look at the path of that coming up in just a moment. I want to briefly look, because we do have a severe thunderstorm watch that's in effect here, and this goes, it expires in 4 hours, so that's a watch that lasts for a little while longer here. This is out of the Severe Storms Prediction Center out of Norman, Oklahoma, and they're saying now this is effective until 11 o'clock tonight. That's Central Daylight Time. 11 o'clock tonight, we have a severe thunderstorm watch. Winds of 70 miles per hour are possible. 1-inch sized hail is unique for this portion of the United States. 1-inch sized hail is a little bit odd here, but that's going to be in this yellow area that you see roughly from the Tennessee-Mississippi line all the way down to the south to Yazoo City, Mississippi, home of Jerry Clower. I know that's kind of too old for you guys, but or a lot of you guys. And then we go from Greenville southward here down the river to Vicksburg. You'll be getting some thunderstorms here in a little bit. Now, we got some severe thunderstorm warnings already. Severe thunderstorm warning right here for the next 48 minutes. This is going to be at the Jackson office. This is going to be Ashley County in southeastern Arkansas. 60-mile-per-hour winds are greater there near McGahee. On to the north here, you can see we got other thunderstorms just beginning to pop. Let me go to the Memphis radar and take a look at this because it'll be a better radar. In QA is where we're going to go. Look at the line of thunderstorms headed southward. Pretty chunky line here that's going through the northern sections of Mississippi. That's going to be moving southward down along 72. Highway 72 that goes over to Iuka, into Red Bay. You're already getting some of the big thunderstorms. In fact, we still have a severe thunderstorm warning. It's almost at Red Bay. It's just south of Florence. That's a severe thunderstorm warning in effect for Colbert and Franklin counties. That goes until 6:45 this afternoon, 6:45. We still have a severe thunderstorm warning that's in effect there down to the south into Hamilton. That's going to be a severe thunderstorm warning there also into the central portions. This is out of the Birmingham office, by the way. But central Marion County is underneath a severe thunderstorm warning. That's coming through Hamilton. That's going to be right there in and along 431. If you go west to east, as you go just past Sullivan, this is Highway 17 that goes northward, but Sullivan over to Haleyville, Hackleburg, big thunderstorms down to Phil Campbell and Russellville. And check this out. That's some pretty strong thunderstorms coming through Russellville and Littleville and Colbert County there at the moment. Pretty close to your house, Drew, actually, as we,
just south. So
just south
outside, I could probably see that storm, but nothing here at the studio location. But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised, David, to see a severe thunderstorm. I think that was a special weather statement you just talked about, but that storm is showing a little bit larger than quarter-size hail now. So I wouldn't be surprised to see a warning being issued for Russellville, Littleville, and maybe over towards the Moulton area.
Yeah, I did have the specials on there. So
I hate that color. Those always throw me for loops.
Yeah. And I haven't used radar scope. Radar scope's all I used to ever use, and I've been away from it a little while. I'm happy to be back with it now, using it again. And you can see, as you look at it right now, those are your thunderstorms that are sliding southward. Some of them popping up just out ahead of this whole system here. We already had one go through Birmingham, Jefferson County a little bit earlier. But we do have a couple of wind reports already around Tupelo. We've had some wind damage being reported there. Trees down on 1124 in the Mooreville area. We had trees down there back to the west a little bit. We got some thunderstorm damage reported as well. Here near Ridge Road, Birmingham Ridge Road in the Blair community. Trees down in the 200 block of Birmingham Ridge Road there in Blair. And still looking at some of these other thunderstorms that we're watching here as well. Corinth up here, they have hail. Drew, they got hail from a train spotter. He has a photo of hail. Golf ball size hail in Corinth?
Saw that, and what in the world, right?
Get the freak out of here. Golf
quarter
ball
size
hail?
Yeah.
Wait a
quarter
minute.
size I could see today, but look at that polygon that just popped up there for Northeast Mississippi. That is a monster. Severe thunderstorm warning polygon. I mean, they just warned the whole thing.
They just said what he's talking about is this right here, and a couple people there at the weather office just went, let's just put it out there. So everybody, if you're in Northeast Mississippi, you've all been warned. I mean, that's...
Yes, guys in chat, we will get to the hurricane in just a minute.
Yeah,
we got a lot to talk about the hurricane. And Dave, I just got booted out of your computer, so we're kind of on our own here with running production.
You won't do it again? Because I can't do this by myself.
Well, you can't send me the password. It says the password has changed, and you can't unless you can text me the password or something. It's not letting me back in. So, yeah, fun times.
I don't have a new password for you.
I know. I was just in. It booted me, and now it says the password is incorrect. So, guys, this is it's a Monday on a Wednesday, right?
I just made fun of the weather service, so. Jokingly, because that's like one of the biggest.
That's huge. One of the, I mean, listen. Before we get to the hurricane, I'm going to read this to you guys. Like seriously, listen. Lafayette, Chickasaw, Calhoun, Pontotoc, Union, Itawamba, Lee, Tippah, Monroe, Tishomingo, Alcorn, and Prentiss counties in Mississippi. I mean, that is a monster severe thunderstorm warning if I've ever seen one. It goes all the way out to 7:30, so it goes for 45 minutes. Damaging wind gusts to 60 and quarter-size hail possible. I'm not going to read you all those towns because there's a whole lot. Biggest towns, Tupelo and New Albany, all the way up to the Booneville area.
So I'll tell you what, I'm sorry. Listen, I've been sick. I don't know that I had COVID, but I've been sick for the last week. So if I go into a coughing fit, I'm trying not to laugh because of that. So, Drew, I'm going to send you...
Perfect.
I'm going to send
Thank
you this. So Drew can get back into my computer, and we can get over to the hurricane stuff here in just a second. So I apologize for that. Let's see. Help me, Drew. Oh, my
you
gosh.
Need me to,
No, just hold on. There you go. Here we go. It's coming to you.
Perfect.
That's what I get for laughing at something. That's the same one, though, isn't it?
That is. See if you get a pop-up here on your screen here in just a second, because that's the one I've been trying. Nope, it's still saying invalid, so all right, fun times.
Well, anyway, let's get back to it here, because I still got my iPad here.
Yep.
All right, so all that stuff's coming south. There's a huge, I mean, like a massive, don't let this scare you. I wouldn't run or anything, but there's a huge severe thunderstorm watch box that's out in effect now. It's coming into northwest Alabama. Here's something cool that you don't often see. See this little line? Let me stop it here. And you see this little line, this little thin line that's coming out? That is a gust front that's coming out ahead of the whole system, which means that's that little area if you're sitting out on the porch and all of a sudden the wind comes up. You can see the thunderstorm off into the distance. And then the wind comes up and starts blowing at you in the face, and it feels really good. And well, the radar is so sensitive that it can see the little dust particles, the little insects, if you will. Sometimes leaves, anything that's blown up like that, the radar can actually see it. So that's that little thin line that you see that's running out in advance of this whole thing, which just is a precursor of the thunderstorms that are to come. And sometimes we even get rid of the thunderstorms, and we end up, you can have a whole, we get rid of the thunderstorms, but the whole line, that whole mass still stays there. That boundary stays there and can produce more thunderstorms for the next day coming up. So kind of what we're looking at here at the moment is that whole sort of situation that's headed south through. Drew, I just got another, I'm going to send you one more thing here, because I made another one. We'll see what happens.
Perfect, thank you. Otherwise, we'll just stick on your iPad source, show the hurricane.
Because I got everything here anyway. So
yep, perfect.
All right, let's talk about the hurricane now. We'll go over here and take a look at NHC here, because this is, kind of new. What's going on here is that we still have this big system out here. In fact, I just want to go satellite first of all. We'll go with a half disc here. It's actually the full disc, but we'll go with half and take a look at it, because this is what it looks like well out there into the mid-Atlantic. This is it right here. It'll start to, it's really now, this is a nighttime image. It'll back up though, and you'll see the daytime visible image coming up here. And still looks like as that moves on from east to west, it's, the water temperature here is super warm. It has an anticyclone aloft that is helping the situation out quite a bit. The anticyclone is the exhaust that you see coming out of the top right hand side of this. So when you see that aloft, you know it's a healthy situation for growth. I absolutely believe that this thing continues growing. I don't think for a minute it's going to just fizzle out there, because conditions are too perfect. You actually got one out here over the Pacific too. Look how large that thing is. But that's going to be moving off to the west. That's already got a little eye trying to show up there in the middle of it. And so that's what we're looking at as far as the satellite image goes on that particular situation there. Now, we back up, we take a look at what's going on with NHC here, and what they're saying. The last couple of things that they've been saying is that this Lee is moving on to the west. Now, the cone takes this to the north of the islands, north of all the islands actually, and at this point north of Puerto Rico, Haiti, the Dominican Republic, everything's headed to the north of there as a hurricane. And the cone is really fine here. It's really, it's not a big old cone. It's a fairly defined cone that you see the H that goes to an M. That means it's going to become a major hurricane right there. And then by 2 p.m. Monday, see, it's still a long way off. 2 p.m. Monday, we're good 200 miles away from the northern part of Puerto Rico. Haiti, the Dominican Republic, the island of Hispaniola there. It's still pretty far to the north. And then, sometime after that, Drew, is when we're thinking, you see Bermuda's to the north, little island of Bermuda. But it's after that we think modeling, so far, all the modeling I have seen, the European doesn't go out far enough, but the GFS does go out and curves this pretty hard to the right, because we have a cold front that'll be coming through.
Exactly. Big dip in the jet stream next week. And, I agree with everybody. It's been a lot of drama on Twitter, as always, or on X, whatever it's called now, about if this thing's going to turn, if it's not. I'm pretty confident right now, but what you got to keep, David, you hit it right at the top of the show. What you got to keep in the back of your mind is we're talking about 5 to 7 days before this thing starts to get to where it's going to turn. So we're talking Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday next week. That's a long way out in the weather world. So a lot of things can happen between now and then that we don't know about just yet. So kind of what I want everybody on the eastern coast from Florida, Miami, all the way up to Maine and all the way up into the Canadian Maritimes. Just watch the storm. Don't turn your back on it. Don't think, well, everybody's saying it's going to turn, I don't really have to worry about anything, because we don't know that yet. All indications are right now, as of September 6th, when we're doing this live show, all indications are this thing will turn north before it gets to the lower 48. But again, 100% sure? Nope, nobody is at this point.
Nope. So here it is. If you look at it on the GFS, this is the GFS model, and this is from this morning, by the way, because the 18Z had not run at this time, but the 12Z had run from this morning. There it is on the right-hand side of your screen. You can see it coming in screen here as I move along. Let me see if I can get the time up here, too, because I want you to see the date. So this is valid on Saturday, the 9th, and then into Sunday again, north of the islands is where she goes right there. You can see the lines of equal pressure. Those are isobars. See the big H there? It's a 1024 high-pressure center. Pretty established Bermuda high is sitting right there. So the winds are always clockwise around high pressure. It's an anticyclone. So the winds, the upper level steering currents coming in from the east here at this point. So they're pushing this storm from east to west. But as the high pressure, watch it go away. See, it went off to the north. The high pressure did. So as it relaxes, the winds will start to shift a little bit more out of the southwesterly. And eventually out of the south as the high pushes further and further away. Now, right here we got a 945 low pressure center that if I'm in a ship, I'm staying far, far, far away from. And I think right there is where it gets to its strongest point, if you believe the modeling here, that 942, I think, was the lowest. Now, we're talking about 942 is 145 mile an hour winds, Drew. So we're at a major hurricane right there. And even at this, I think this will produce some big swells along the Atlantic seaboard. You're probably going to see those coming into the Virginias as we get into, what's our time deal there? I can't keep this low enough to keep the time up. So this is like a Thursday. Again, 7 days from now, and a lot could happen. Look how deep the low is, still going up the Atlantic seaboard there, but pretty far offshore, and still just to the west of Bermuda at this point. 970, 972, so it is weakening, and it runs, really kind of runs in between the two, Bermuda and the United States there on that side, and then continues its move. A couple of interesting things, Drew. I don't know if you've seen this at all. Along the front, you can see the front going through the southeast at this time. Our little trough that digs in here a little bit. So here's the front. Southwesterlies start to show up. There's your rain across the southeast. That's the middle of the week or so. It's the second front actually that goes through. Here goes one. And then here goes another. We often get two at the same time this time of the year. We get one and then reinforcing shot. So this goes on to the south. We still get some rain there into the deep south. And oftentimes this time of the year, this is when we start looking at fronts that go through, go down to the Gulf of Mexico, hang up, and then produce low pressure.
That's right.
I don't know what the averages are, but just in my lifetime, this is my 42nd year doing this. In my lifetime, that's one of the things I always looked at after September the 1st. Is a front going south? Is it going to stall? And is it in the Gulf of Mexico and available there? Do we have all the things that are available? And we know we got water temperature that's available to depth. Which is the bigger thing here, too. We talk about the water temperature. The surface water temperature is one thing. Surface water temperature can be in the 90s, and it is in some cases, up to near 100 in some cases. But to depth, when you really need the water temperature to be above the 80-degree mark, somewhere at 100 feet. And, I don't personally have a thermometer to go do that with, but I've seen some people who fish who would tell me that the water temperature down to 200 feet is almost to 80. So there's been no upwelling there into the Gulf of Mexico. The energy is just unbelievable, we think, at this point, which we saw from the last hurricane, Drew.
That's right. Yeah. I mean, and it don't take long. What you're talking about with the fronts going down. And I can remember several years ago, I don't remember the exact year, going to bed at night, big complex of thunderstorms in the Gulf of Mexico along a weakening or a stalled out frontal boundary. And then you wake up the next morning and you've got a nice low level circulation and you've got a tropical depression, and those things can, blow up into a tropical storm pretty quickly.
Yeah.
This time of the year.
Yeah. So, I got, you see what I got, and Penny's downstairs, and I hear she's like really pissed off. I would bring Penny up here, but you know what? Penny just started molting again. You guys, many of you guys who joined us, saw what happened to Penny when she molted last year. She loses her feathers, and when she loses her feathers, it's kind of embarrassing for her. So I don't like to just throw her on television, Drew, when she doesn't have any feathers. She's losing quite a few every day. The cats are downstairs. They've got like new toys now because they wait for Penny to drop a feather and then they just go crazy. They're just behind her going crazy. But anyway, there's where it goes. And then watch the Gulf of Mexico. We want to watch the Gulf of Mexico here because we have a little low trailing along that goes, a little wave that goes along what would be a stationary front now down into the Gulf of Mexico right there. Now that gets carried away, but then we start watching down into the Gulf. Look, there are multiple lows that try to form, and then one that comes through the Yucatan right about there. And that's the one that I would be really concerned about. And I know that's Friday morning, 12Z, next Friday morning, not tomorrow. It's next Friday morning, not tomorrow. It'd be tomorrow's Thursday. So anything could happen, but this is plausible to me. When I think about what happens with these things, cold fronts going through, this is when you start getting this kind of a thing happening into the Western Caribbean, off of Guatemala and through there. As you get low pressure, that'll be generated. And Drew, I think this is very, very plausible. And if you see, we got a 1021 high up into Tennessee about that time, so that's a pretty good westward push there. So that might keep us into the Gulf. I see it. That's a call area. That's a low wind area to begin with, but then eventually you get upper level winds here. We look at, if you're talking about millibars, we look at 300 millibars or so. I always have for steering currents and beyond that. So that's what we're looking at out of the model there at that point. Out of the GFS, which until somebody tells me, that's what I believe in at this point. The European just didn't go out that far.
Mm-hmm. You're right, bold as a lion. We love the Tropical Tidbits site, Dr. Levi Cowan. Yeah.
Yes.
He is said he is the man when it comes to hurricanes. You're right. And I saw just another comment a second ago. Hope this don't hit Long Island. And then somebody else said people, of course, are posting model runs of this thing hitting Long Island and New York. Look, this is the bad part of having a hurricane to track for more than a week. You guys on the internet, social media, Twitter, Facebook, you name it, YouTube, are going to see different images and different computer models between now and next week. That's the way it works. The models now, the GFS is pretty solid. It hasn't jumped around a whole lot. Some of these, somebody posted the Korean. I didn't even know we had a Korean computer model that we looked at. But somebody on Twitter last night posted the Korean computer model, the Japanese, the Canadian, all these other weather forecast models that don't do very well with tropical systems. So, watch your source, watch people that are posting it just to get clicks and just to get views, because don't think, just because you see an image of this, major hurricane hitting New York City, don't think that's going to happen. Could it happen? Oh yeah, of course. But right now it doesn't look like that is a likely scenario at this time. Again, we've got a lot of time. Things can change, but just please, over the next week, take everything you see and assume somebody's just posting it to try to get clicks and try to get views, because it drives me crazy. Dave, I don't know about you, but it just, it's trying to rile people up and trying to get people scared, I think, for no reason. So that's why I'm hoping we can do more of these lives leading up to next week to keep everybody kind of grounded and let you know what really is probably going to happen.
Well, it does depend on what you want. If you want flavor, if you want entertainment, and this is a friend of mine said this the other day. A friend of mine who's been with the National Weather Service office for like 35 years said this to me the other day. He said, you know, there's two sides of this now when it comes to social media. There's an entertainment side, and a lot of people are going to the entertainment side. He said, and then there's, you know, there's the true, the realistic, the meteorological side, the, you know, and what he means is, I'm not going to call any names out here. And I see some people are saying, you know, I wait until so-and-so goes there. That's perception, because don't tell me Brett Adair hasn't been in more hurricanes than the person that you just mentioned. Don't tell me Brett Adair hasn't been where every freaking hurricane has been in the last 20 years and the person you just mentioned. I'll show you. Or you can just believe what you want to believe. I saw a commercial about this the other day. I've covered more hurricanes. I've covered more hurricanes since '82. Somebody tell me, you know, who's covered more. I've been in. Oh, shut up! Somebody in my ear just said it's Jarvis, wasn't it? I told him he's not allowed to speak unless he does it where everybody can hear him. Because some of the he says in my ear, he wouldn't say if he was on the air, but he's saying it in my ear now. So anyway, just perception. And look, you're smart. These people are smart now. Back in the day, when I was on television, I've been on Fox News, I was on 10, 11 years here, there, ABC, I've been CBS. People didn't have the internet, Drew, so they were, you know, they kind of believed everything you said. Mm-hmm. Now, people are so smart, and I see some of your, you know, some of the things you folks are saying there, but I know you, and I know how smart you are, so don't try to pull any crap over your eyes. It is what it is. But it's still an analytical program. It's an analytical equation that goes into this that says, okay, here's what's going to happen. You can pick one and go with it. But the thing that's different now, Drew, is accountability. Yep. Because all of these newcomers, all these people, if you would write it down, if you, the viewer, and I hope you do. I hope you watch what we say, and I hope you write it down, because all my life that's what I've been used to, is being accountable. And so make sure that the person you trust, if they tell you something, write it down. If they're nowhere near, call them out.
Bingo.
Yeah, that's the thing. And my friend and I were talking about this again. Head of the National Weather Service. The thing that's missing is to be a star on social media now. You really don't have to be accountable, especially since what you're doing is for this wide audience. And so if you just say what everybody else is saying, you can sort of fake it. You can sort of get by with it. I've seen some. I swear I've seen some that I need to stop. Because Brett's gonna text me and go, "Would you shut up?" Because he hates it.
Do you want to take that question from?
Hi, David. Your audio comes in strong when you keep your mouth close to your mic. Yeah, it's because OBS, the thing that we run, has a problem with my mic. They just let me know about the gain, and I don't know how to fix it, Drew. But
I'll try to fix it when I can get in again.
Yeah, I don't think you can. I don't think you can. Jarvis is in trying to help you get back in again.
Okay.
Bold as a Lion says, I'm tired of fear porn. Exactly.
There you go.
That's exactly what it is. So just, I don't, we're not making tons of money here. I do this because I love the weather. Yep. And Drew does too. And Brett does too. And so we're here because we like doing this, and that it's my hobby and has been since I was a kid. But
good question there, Dave. I'll let you take this. It says, I'm wondering what is the possibility of a North Carolina, Virginia area being affected. I want to get a read because I have family who will need to evacuate because of medical issues. Not panicking, just being prepared. Very good question.
Yeah, it's a good question. And again, in the model that we just saw, you can see it's pretty far offshore. If you've got a model that says it's coming on shore, please send it to me. I don't know of it, Drew. I don't look at all the crap. I don't look for one just so, that's coming. Yep. Somebody said there was one that's coming on shore into New England. I haven't seen it. I don't know what goes out that far, first of all, other than the GFS.
Yeah, there you go. GFS, I think, the only thing yeah, major model. And yeah, you guys, so far, we will be the first to tell you if it changes. But right now, definitely keep an eye on it there in the Virginia, North Carolina area. But I feel pretty confident saying that this cold front comes down, the trough comes down. Usually when we see that on these models, Dave, help me out here. Correct me if I'm wrong. The biggest challenges when we are talking about storms turning north in my lifetime have been if they're going, how strong is the high pressure ridge? Not is a cold front trough coming down. From what I can remember, anytime we've got a pretty major trough coming down and lifting this storm north, not always, but it's almost 100% certain this thing's going to turn. The times we don't get a storm to turn, we don't have a cold front coming down. We have a big area of high pressure to the north that we think is going to weaken and allow that storm to turn north. And then what has happened in the past, that high pressure ridge is stronger than the models thought, and it continues that storm westward into the southeast or the mid-Atlantic area. So again, just from my limited memory, I can't ever remember a storm, not to say this won't be a first, because it might, but I can't remember a storm that has not turned in this scenario. Again, we're talking about a front coming down, lifting it up, instead of a high-pressure ridge blocking it. And
Drew, I don't remember where my keys are, so that's a hard one for me, too. I mean, my memory's terrible. But I can tell you this. I do know that typically the first front, and it'll be our first true, we've had them this summer. We've had weird fronts that, true cool fronts that went past the southeast. But the first front of the season is always a little bit difficult for the models. And it's either underplayed or overplayed. And I don't think we really know at this point what, exactly how much of a southwesterly is going to be created by this, the steering flow out of the southwest. But the models are so good these days. And, when it comes to model forecasting, I sort of pick one, and if it's bad, then I adjust. I don't just flip-flop like I did Wives. I kind of look, I look at the models and I'm like, shouldn't have said that. So I look at the models, and I if I've got one, then I let it be wrong every once in a while, but I know it's wrong, and so I adjust, and I go, okay, so it's biased this way a little bit this time. So anyway, let's answer some of these questions. David Lawrence has a great suggestion that I should get a mohawk in order to get more attention and compete.
I love it.
Because David says we're not competing. Dave, I'll be honest with you, I'm not trying to either.
We're not competing without a mohawk, Dave.
I'm not trying to compete. I'm just trying to be. We're just trying to talk here. Let's see. Fear porn. I love that. I've never heard that before, but that's true. What's coming behind Hurricane Lee? Mikey says, what's coming behind Hurricane Lee? Probably another storm. We're into the September phase here. There's another thing. I mean, they're still coming off the African coastline, just one after the other. Cape Verde storms, we call them. But now, as we get further and further along, we won't look toward Africa any longer. We'll start to look at either what's into the western Atlantic, the main development area, we call it, the MDA, and the Caribbean. And that's where we'll find most of the generation coming up as we go through time. Is Lee turning? Why is Lee turning? Buddy Dahlia did not. Lee's turning because there's a big dome of high pressure. If you missed us at the beginning, we call it the Bermuda High, that is retrograding with time. You can see this is the path of the storm, and that is because the initial path of the storm, and that is because the wind around the high pressure is going like this, clockwise, and so it is pushing this thing to the north and west. But as it retrogrades even more, that and a cold front that'll be headed through will start to bring a southwesterly wind back up into the area, and the southwesterlies into the upper levels will then push this storm to the right more. So it is it's a common thing this time of the year. It sometimes happens like this. Krakatoa says, what's the chance of a stronger high pressure off of Canada and the front going negative tilt?
Kind of sounds like a Superstorm Sandy scenario, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
I think that's what's happened there. So,
yeah.
I mean, I guess at this point, anything's possible, right, Dave? But I don't see it on the models yet.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't see it on the models. So, let's give it to the weekend. Let's give it to Saturday, Sunday. We'll be doing more of these live shows, and we'll look at everything then. But, yeah, good question, but I don't see that happening just yet, Krakatoa.
Mikey says, let me ask you this. I love the way he starts it out. Let me ask you this. If Lee was near Long Island at the moment, would he a direct Puerto Rico? Are we gone? We're back?
We're good.
It said OBS disconnected.
Uh-oh.
I got a warning. But I think we're good. Let's talk about a couple of other things here I wanted to look at too. I thought this was pretty cool. This is that satellite image, that last couple of images right before dark. Notice how we get the late evening, the nocturnal blow up again of thunderstorms. This is it's called a latent heat exchange, where you get a much bigger temperature differential between the thunderstorms aloft and the water temperature down below. It's the first time thermal dynamics really come into play with a hurricane like this, and you get a transfer of heat that takes place much quicker than before, so you get nocturnal thunderstorms. It happened with Idalia. It happens a lot of time with many of the storms that we see, but this one has it again. Let me play it one more time. You can see the blow up right there at the last few images. That's those big thunderstorms. And now it's getting what we call a CDO, a central dense overcast. And the thing about hurricanes, folks, or low pressure centers like this is symmetry. When you look at them, you start looking at them and you go, okay, is this thing 4 quadrants? If you draw an X down between it, do all the quadrants look equal? Do they, are they just the mirror object of each other from left to right? And the more symmetry that you see that way, the stronger a storm is. And in this case, that is kind of what we're looking at there. And let me see if I can get to NHC one more time here. Drew and see. The discussion, by the way, from them says that we've organized during the day today, blah, 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 blah. But here's the forecast. This is the main forecast here, and the positions, and you can see as it goes northward, we go about 10 knots every 12 hours in the forecast. They're up to 150 miles per hour before weakening just a tad there at 120 hours, so we get a 150 mile per hour storm there for a while. 130 knots. That's a pretty big story.
Sure is.
Yep. So the let's see. The other part of this is, let's look at the satellite. Let's see the last couple of satellite images here that we got. I love the sandwich one, which just right off the bat makes me hungry. So that is it. That's the latest image that shows up just a few moments ago, and that's a pretty stout storm. We're already at hurricane strength. We're at 75 miles per hour, which means any moment now we ought to see an eye beginning to show up right there in the middle. That would be at exactly 15 degrees north is where I think the eye is. We're at 15 now. And moving on to the west, feeder band out there to the northwest. Everything looks like it's just going to go on. So, again, that's our only question is whether or not this is going to make landfall anywhere or have any effect at all on the continental United States. So that's where we are with that. The GLM feed, which shows you a little bit of lightning data there in one of those outer feeder bands. It's not a, it's not a ho-horn sort of a ho-horn. what am I trying to say? Ho hum.
There you go.
Yeah. It's not really all that, but it isn't. It's not really a huge deal at this point as far as anything other than to look at. So that's why we're telling you, don't be fooled by all the crap that's out there about watch out. Don't make your plans.
Cat 6, Cat 7. I can't tell you how many news articles I've seen today. Not your national news outlets. No, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about these, Inquirer type websites that just try to get Cat 7 hurricane. I mean, come on, guys. Like,
did you really hear that today?
I did. I saw 2 different articles from 2 different sites talking about how we're having a Cat 7 hurricane coming towards the United States it said in September. I'm like, oh, gosh. Just makes me
I'm
makes
against
me
that. I'm totally against that. Got a severe thunderstorm warning. I think that's a severe thunderstorm warning up here just south of Decatur. That's going to be for the next 23 minutes now at Lawrence and Morgan counties. The National Weather Service office there. It's about 10 miles to the west of Hartselle. Moving east at about 10, 60-mile-per-hour winds. Nickel-size hail reported out of that storm as it goes on northeastward. Right there along I-65 between Priceville and Falkville and headed on to the east. Right over there into, does it make it to me? Is this stuff, because the herd didn't have it coming to me earlier.
I thought I was going to get lucky and get some rain, but not a drop. So,
are you serious? You didn't get any rain?
Not a drop. It totally fell apart and split right around town here. Yeah, not a drop. So
there's still about 72 counties back over here in the northern.
That is Polygon City over there. That is, I mean, we've got severe thunderstorm warning polygons from near south of Tunica all the way to almost Columbus, Mississippi. That is crazy.
Hey, do it. Yep. Do it, dude. Not to forget anybody. Let's go over here to Shreveport, SHV, and we'll show you there's a severe thunderstorm warning there, too, out of I don't know what. What is that?
What? Wait a minute.
Did it already expire? Panola and Shelby counties.
7 p.m. That was 20 minutes ago.
Well, let me loop it and see if it was there and it's gone. Dude, it was there and it's gone.
Yeah. Wow, that fell apart fast. Look at that.
Look at the boundaries.
Oh, look at the Yeah. Collision of outflow boundaries. That is beautiful.
How many? Look, there's 3 that collide there all of a sudden.
Yeah.
See the little explosions there that you see? Those are outflow boundaries, and they can either help thunderstorms to form or they can crush them like this one just did. They collided there coming in from opposite directions, so it just crushed it there.
That's beautiful.
That's unbelievable. I got some friends who are visiting here from Louisiana. They may be watching right now. I don't know. We got boring there for a minute, so they probably aren't anymore. But southern Louisiana, the Toledo Bend area there, they spend a lot of time to Opelousas Parish, and they were talking about how dry it's been there and how many fires they've had and that kind of thing. So they need the rainfall there, especially across that portion of Louisiana, Beaumont, Port Arthur, down to Lake Charles. Getting some rain down into Lake Charles, it looks like, finally. But wildfires have been a really dangerous sort of a thing that's been going on there for quite some time. And they need this rain and whatever else can make it down into that area there, too, in the days to come.
For sure. Yeah, they've had a horrible, long, hot, dry summer out there.
I want to see. Oh, so they changed it to quarter-size hail? That observation? It went from golf ball to quarter-size?
I can believe that. Yeah, definitely. Golf ball's a little excessive for the setup we've got today.
Yeah. Well, they said that it said we've seen a picture.
Yep.
Uh-oh. Somebody's sending a fake picture. You know, back in the day when we first started taking photographs, digital photographs came out, and at the television station we started taking photographs from people. They would send them in. I mean, this is a long time ago. It's right when digital cameras really started coming out, and actually it was digital cameras first before we had them on our cell phones, really, that were usable. And people would send us stuff, and then like 2-3 months into it, people thought they couldn't be traced, and they couldn't be. And we got pictures from, Lord, we'd get pictures at my television station that were shot out in Kansas or Nebraska, and Then we started getting pictures of statues that had genitalia showing, and a couple of those made it on TV before you knew it, and more of that fear porn stuff. What, we got any more questions? Or, well, it's not too bright. Never would think southern Louisiana would be in this kind of a drought. Yeah, that's the truth. Never did think a lot of people would be in such a drought. I mean, we got drought conditions across all the deep south, actually. And here at my house, we barely had an inch of rain in August. Barely had an inch of rain. That didn't come to the last. August 1st, we had 3/4 of an inch, and we had a little bit more toward the end of the month. But it's been so super dry. My trees, even the oak trees, the leaves are hanging down. True, it looks really sad. We may even lose some trees because of the drought this year here in the deep south.
Yep, for sure.
All right, what else we got? So that's on the radar there. That's the only area. We got a couple of warnings up here. Got one or two in the northern West Virginia we want to look at. This is near Winchester. That's severe thunderstorm warning there. Frederick, Shenandoah, and Warren counties, you're underneath the severe thunderstorm warning there for about 10 more minutes, and that's going to be because of this storm just off to the west, a lone thunderstorm that's popped up there into the area near Middletown, Strasburg, and Toms Brook, and that's moving off to the northeast. Just errant little thunderstorms here and there, one or two more up here around Toledo. These are coming in just to the, there's not a good radar there. Right there, a couple of thunderstorms about to move into Lake Erie here from the west side. Severe thunderstorm warning there for the moment, and that's going to be moving on to the northeast. Monroe is what it looks like. Severe thunderstorm warning for about 50 more minutes in Monroe County, Detroit, Pontiac. That is the Weather Service office there, 60-mile-per-hour winds and beyond. And then the other story, let's talk about this real quick. Truly the other story that we're looking at, we sort of took a look at this. So this is 2 p.m. Monday. Hurricane is there. If you didn't see that just yet, that's it. We're going to keep following that because that's going to be an ever-changing situation. Here's two things I wanted to show you folks, though, is that in the next 6 to 10 days, check this out. This is the expectations of cooler than normal air, and that would be in the blue, obviously, and cooler than normal conditions are finally going to show up when the cold front moves through. You'll start to see that. We'll have a cool area through the Midwest actually comes southward, and then all the way down into the deep south, it looks like, through the Tennessee Valley, comes down into Texas, and eventually spreads further and further to the south. And so that's going to be a good thing to have, Drew. We really, really need that. Precipitation is going to be near normal, a little bit drier than normal up across the upper Midwest, a little bit wetter than normal across central Texas, because there is a trough coming through, and that should help the situation out there. But there's, still the expectations of much cooler weather has everybody excited because it has been so freaking warm for quite some time. In fact, I think I can show you here pretty quickly. Let me do this real quick. Expectations of record breakers are still out there. For Thursday, we have 36 records that are likely to be broken or tied, 14 that are expected to be tied. On Thursday, the 7th, see the top bar here? That's indicative of how many daytime high records could be broken as we go through the next several days. You see there are fewer and fewer as we move along into Monday, Tuesday, but there's still quite a few record highs there. Into Thursday, the record highs are going to be from the Atlantic seaboard. Look at all of them here. These are either going to be records or tied from New York City southward, Philadelphia, 96, 97 degrees. From just to the west of D.C., it's sort of the same thing there. Down along Florida again. This is kind of weird. Jacksonville at 97, that would... Let's see, 97. That would tie a record in 219, actually, at the airport. The 97 degrees. And toward the center of the state, Orlando at 96. Those are some unbearable temperatures. Get back over here in Louisiana, Baton Rouge, 99 degrees. That would tie a record set in 47. Lake Charles at 99. The record's 100, so that's a close one there. But that was set in 1912, Drew. That was the other global warming that we had back in the early 1900s.
I remember that one vaguely. Do you, Dave?
Vaguely. And then an expectation of 102 is the forecast now for Thursday into Beaumont, Port Arthur, 102. The record is 99, set in 63. 63.
Wow.
These are some old records being broken. The 25th, if we go to Friday, Texas is the main culprit here with some 107, 109. I think that's going to be Wichita Falls. That would break the record by 5 degrees. That's not even a close call. You know, some of these sometimes are close calls. That ain't one of them.
That's not. Yep.
That ain't one of them. Houston at 103. That sounds stupid. 1907 is when that record was. So this breaks a big, and the Beaumont. Look at Austin, 105. These are not close. I mean, if these, and there's no reason, I think these are pretty accurate forecasts. It'd take a thunderstorm or something to bust that. Mm-hmm. Saturday, fewer. We erode some of the heat away into the east, to the southeast, but the temperatures are still hot into the state of Texas and even down to the south. Sunday, squeezing those out. Dallas no longer in record heat, but still some 100-degree readings showing up south of the cold front there. And by Monday, there's only 1 or 2 records. There's 3 ties and 1 record. So you really erode all of the heat away. There's only a few exceptions down here to the south where that might be different. The middle section there would tell you if we had any record lows. It's not a record-breaking sort of a cool front coming through. And the other thing are these high minimums. These are. Did you just look at me like I don't know what I'm talking about?
Jarvis has got me cracking up. No, it's.
I told him I'm gonna cut him off. I can cut him off.
He's acting up in chat now. It's all good. He said 1912 is when you were born, right?
I was born a little after.
A little bit earlier than that, Jarvis. You're close.
But Jarvis, I'm just gonna be honest with you. That's not funny. That's not funny. That's a poor joke. You could do better. So I don't even know where I was at before Jarvis interrupted.
I know we're talking records.
There's 33. These are record maximum low temperatures. So like this would be a record. The 80 in Dallas is the forecast. The 81 is a forecast for Dallas tomorrow morning. Well, the warmest low before that was 80 in 2015. So we're setting warmest low temperature readings. Does that make sense? This has always been a thing that bothers me. I love the stat, but it's always been a difficult thing for me to explain on television. I used to have to say, wait, listen to this. And I'd have to get up really close to the TV and say, okay, here's the way it works. Because it's always been a difficult one for me to talk about. I did want to show you, and this is from the EMA site here. Can I show you?
There you go.
If you were wondering, this is what the scale is. This is the Saffir-Simpson scale, the hurricane wind scale. A category 4 hurricanes, 130 to 156. And again, anything greater than 156 is a category 5. So they did take this to just the edge of a category 5 hurricane at 155. So,
does it bother anybody else? The Cat 4 is not.
Yeah,
I have OCD.
Yeah,
and it has my whole life. It just drives me crazy that everything is that nice spaced out, 15-ish mile per hour difference until you get to a Cat 4, and then it's not. I'm like, oh, it kills me.
Yeah.
To me, it should be 130 to 145-ish. 146, and then I don't know. That's a story for another day. But that's my OCD talking.
No, I get it. I totally get it. But I mean, this is something, I can't actually remember, but ever since I got to meteorology school in the 80s, Saffir-Simpson's been around for a long, long time. We've just now started up. I mean, it takes a while for us to change. Change is very difficult for us, but the Weather Service is doing it. Ken Graham has already started a bunch of that, and he is the new Grand Poobah of the National Weather Service. Wonderful man, and he's been in the business of getting word out for many, many, many years, and so he understands a lot of that stuff. And I know he's rooting to bring everything up to date just a little bit more. There does need to be, there needs to be some different. It wouldn't hurt to make those numbers a little more memorable.
Mm-hmm.
And no, I'm not as old as Safford or Simpson.
Dave, what are you thinking for the rest of the week and the weekend? I know we hadn't talked really anything about coverage, live shows. You guys have been awesome tonight asking questions, and a lot of you guys obviously are, potential impact zones if this thing were to go a little bit further west. So what are you thinking for the rest of the week and this weekend that we should do?
So here's the deal. Drew and I are just hanging out because we have no life other
Correct.
than this. So we're just hanging out, and I would otherwise pick up the phone and go, hey, Drew, what do you think about the weather? And instead, you know what we do? We go,
it's more fun this way.
let's put it on TV. So this has just been Drew and I talking, mostly me. I know Drew's been trying to figure out we've had some technical trouble. So
I'm locked out. I've got some work we got to do later tonight once we get off.
You're still locked out.
I'm locked out.
That's something Jarvis did. That's a Jarvis.
We'll
get into that in just a little bit.
We'll get to Jarvis later. Yep.
So, we'll probably, I think we have found out 6:30 to 7 is a pretty good time to come on. Brett will probably join us in the next day or so, and we'll just, we're just talking. If you got questions, we'll answer them. There's no baloney going on here. It's just, we're just talking about the weather, and so we'd love to talk to you about it. And we jumped online pretty quickly this afternoon. We didn't advertise it at all. So, first of all, your first line, Anonymous Mouse, is I'm worried. Don't be worried. Be happy. Don't be worried. There's nothing really to worry about right here. When it comes to this, you got tons of time to sort of watch what's happening. So, no worries, all right? And Drew and I are just talking, and we'll add Brett and some other people. We got some guests coming up. We've had quite a few great guests, actually, over the last week or so. So we'll have some more people on as time warrants, and we talk. But we're going to wrap it up here and for now and fix our little technical errors. And should something happen, look, if anything happened to where this looked like it was going to be a continental United States or even Bermuda, if it was some sort of a landfall, we would definitely come back on and talk about it. And tonight we came on to talk about the hurricane, even though it's not a threat yet. But we also had some severe weather that was going on across Alabama, and we have a severe thunderstorm watch box that's still in effect there across the region. You can see it now. GWX radar shows those are some hefty thunderstorms still sliding southward across North Alabama too. Got some thunderstorms there that have popped up. So we're going to keep our eyes on those. We'll keep telling you about what's happening there. No tornado warnings are expected at all. I was a little worried we were suddenly going to have golf ball size hail falling, which is super concerning. But, kind of it is what it is. So anyway.
Jarvis, just for you, Jarvis, since you're so awesome that you put everything together, you've got those awesome guys. Give a huge shout out to Jarvis for the very cool scripts we've got running down below. Got the current conditions scrolling at the bottom. Got your clock down in the corner. That's just Jarvis has been hard at work since last week. Huge shout out to him. He wants a backyard forecast for Rapid City, South Dakota. So Jarvis, just for you, good buddy. Areas of smoke tonight, low around 54. Chance of showers and thunderstorms tomorrow, about 20%. Highs in the lower 80s. And it looks like sunny and clear through Friday, lows in the 50s in Rapid City and highs only in the mid 80s. Looks like a chance of rain returns for the weekend.
There you go, Brandon. All right, guys, thank you for your interaction. We're going to wrap it up now. Drew Richards with us. Drew running the board until he quit, and then or one of them quit.
So the board quit me. Right?
Again, I advertised Penny being on here. Penny is not well at the moment. I mean, she's all right. She's going to be okay, but she's molting and molting sooner than before. She's losing her feathers is what I'm trying to say. So they say it hurts them if you pick them up when they're molting. So although she never said anything. But anyway, Thank you all for joining us. I'm David Neal, and we are watching LSM TV Side. We do this quite often when we have weather, and again, we were just talking weather for tonight. So we're going to let you go for now, and we'll keep you up to date on what's happening. Drew, you're going to have to shut it down. Or wait a minute.
Yep.
Can you shut it down over there?
I can shut it down on the YouTube side.
Shut it down on the
You
YouTube
can shut
side.
it down from the OBS side here in a minute. Either way.
See you guys. Thank you again. Bye-bye.
Y'all have a good night. And